That's right. So one of the things I pitch with future clients, for instance, these Amish clients of mine, I'm like, look, you have a great family. Yeah. Do you want to keep it that way? Yeah. Well, then we need to change this business around.
Yeah.
If the family's that important, and I think it is, and they think it is, all right, cool. Well, we've got this, and I draw like a dotted line, on a big chart or something. It's like outside of this dotted line are owners. So you own a business, you have some roles as an owner, and it's blah 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 blah, and stuff like creating and sustaining capital, for instance. All right, the business needs some juice. All right, okay, owners do that. I'll go borrow money, or I'll go sell something, or I'll raise money somehow or another to insert capital. They also put people in the driver's seat. The owner needs to go, hey, you run this, all right? Or you folks run this, whatever size business it is. And then also opening up some opportunities for the business, like, for instance, new markets or or acquisitions or partnerships with symbiotic businesses or something like that. That I would see that as an owner's role. Like, okay, but they don't operate now. But inside, if you say, "Hey, I want to climb in this circle
Yeah.
and operate it," okay, now we got to take off the owner's hat and we're going to set aside ownership mentally,
Yeah.
not actually, and then, all right, well, what do you own, quote unquote, if you're operating and splitting that off somehow, and then let's pay people for their role, not owners make money and profits.
Yes.
So with most of my clients, they're like, what are those? What are profits? Like what?
Yeah.
Well, and so we work through. You're familiar with the profit first
Yep.
budgeting system, and so I try to get them onto that because then it creates, at least at the front door, some clarity.
Yep.
Like, hey, whatever's in this bank account is what we're going to split up with owners.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. And, the CPA is going to say a bunch of stuff, and the attorney's going to say a bunch of stuff, and the IRS is going to send a bunch of forms. Great. And we should do all that.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever's in this bank account, we're going to split it based on what size cup you got. Oh, I'm 50%. Okay, I got a 50% cup, and you put it under a spigot,
Yes.
so to speak. And for most business owners, they're like, oh my gosh, like, so I'm not actually doing anything as an owner operationally. Yeah, that's right. So you get no paycheck. But you do get a slice of the profits. Are you distributing profits, Mr. or Mrs. Owner? No, we're not. We do all that in paychecks and stuff, which creates this mess,
It can.
It can.
The same thing with family businesses where it is, I'm going to compensate you, but you're married to somebody who has a really good job. So you really don't need this as much as
That
this
is
other
so
person in the
uncool.
family does. Oh my gosh! It's not only is it it's uncool. It's not.
It's probably illegal.
It's not a. It gets a little
It's
hairy.
unsavory.
It's unsavory.
Yes.
Well, you're not building team camaraderie because then if
Yeah.
you're making those decisions with your family, are you going to make those decisions with individuals who aren't your family? And is that fair and equitable? And is that the right decision to make?
Yeah.
Are we incentivizing people to stay, or are we just keeping them as much as we can so they just don't leave?
One of the things I wanted to ask you about was, when did you, so you've known this business from birth, literally. When did you didn't love the business?
No.
For, it sounds like, most of your youth.
Oh, I didn't.
Right?
I didn't. It was a paycheck. It was no.
Did you feel like the business was one of your parents' other kids? Maybe? Or some distraction for them, or some...
No, because we were still, because when you have, I think our situation was a little different in that both of our parents worked in the business. So they brought it home, they talked about it, we talked about it. I guess you could say it was kind of like another family member. But it was not, we work in the business because of X. We did, they always made sure that we had time. They were very good at balancing time that we had together. So I think great. I didn't really, some of those things when people talk about entrepreneurial work-life balance and being intentional with your kids, I think I had a really good living example of
That's great.
parents that were
That's good.
present. And then we were really involved in church together. So if we weren't at AUI together, we were at church together. I mean, when I was in high school, junior high and high school, I danced competitively and I was in speech and debate. And my dad and my mom would go to, every speech and debate tournament, every dance competition. I mean, they were there all the time. A lot of times with work in hand,
Yeah.
but they were there.
Yeah.
So
they had a line.
they had a line.
That's
and
cool.
I had very involved grandparents too. So
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah.
A lot of family businesses are kind of like, so we have my wife and I have a precious special needs kid who's 22. And when he was born, he's our fourth of five, the whole family just like flipped
Uh-huh.
to like, it's all about this kid, and we started to orbit around the kid. And that can create some real pain and, mistakes and stuff. And I think family businesses are like that, where it's this other kid that's really needy. You know what I mean? And everybody's just got to fall in line and help out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we're all kind of drowning,
Yeah.
by the way, but that's cool that your folks were able to have a real line there.
Yeah.
Well, when did you go from darn this business to I love this thing? I wanna buy it. Not only
it.
just inherit it, but actually pony up significant cash.
Well, I mean, the I want to own it, I think, happened between 2010 to 2013 when we started to see the major transition within the Affordable Care Act. And I would say maybe 13 was when I kind of was like, okay, eventually this is going to be mine. Before then, it was kind of like, yeah, okay, it'll be there someday, but it's not. And I mean, at that point in time, too, Mark, I mean, I had a young family. I mean, our kids are really little. It
Like
wasn't.
you're talking like 3, 4, 5 years old.
Yeah, Maddie was born in 08. Caleb was born in 12. So,
Okay,
I mean,
yeah,
in 13,
yeah.
for
You had a
5 and 18
1-year-old.
months. Yeah.
Oh.
So, I mean, I'm in the weeds with, I mean, 2-year-old boy. I mean, he just tried to die every day for,
Yeah, right?
for like 2 years. It
Yeah,
was
that's the
awful.
goal. That is, yeah. And then you get bikes and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, Caleb, can we just, okay, we're good. So, and then I would say that I really want it. It's going to be mine and I'm going to make something of it and it's going to look different. And that was probably, I would say, starting between 15 and 16 when we did the big acquisition with the one organization and I handled everything. Including signing all the paperwork, which I probably shouldn't have been signing.
That's an interesting, yeah, because the owner.
But I did.
I mean, yeah.
I signed it all. I think that is when I was like, this is mine.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
that moment in time, it wasn't even I'm going to have to buy it. It was the expectation. Like, it doesn't matter. It's mine. Like, I'm going.
Yeah.
And then it was probably in 18 as I was kind of working through the stuff with my mom where I had to kind of stomach the fact of, okay, we're going to have to figure out.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to pay for
Yeah.
this sucker. And now it's reconciling now as I continue we work through the payoff and our terms it's not the business that I purchased. It's the opportunity to do all of the things that I want with this being the first vehicle in a number of vehicles that get us
Yeah.
where we want to go as a family.
Yeah. Well,
So-
and you're talking about your family, like
Yes.
your husband, kids, and maybe your mom can kind of get swept up in that, or how do you see that?
So she gets her buyout check, and she's kind of there as a cheerleader. But when she sold, when we signed everything in 19, we took that. I mean, it's mine. And what is different about me versus my parents is I'm not going to tell everybody what's going on in our organization that's in our family because they're not on payroll.
Yeah.
They don't have a vested interest in our family interests at this point in time, because we live our lives very differently from the way that my parents did. I mean, my parents were like, everybody can come to dinner, we'll pay for everything, we'll do all this stuff. And I mean, for a long time I looked at that and I'm like, I love our family, I love our extended family. I'd like relationship based not on expectation that I'm going to pay for your meal. Let's kind of build things in a different way. And so we kind of have, and part of that was transition and marrying Steve and kind of building what our new family looks like. I mean, you lose your first husband. and the father of your children, it becomes a little bit different. Your perspective changes. And Mike passed away in 13. So we went through a lot of these transitions as a family and a family business. So, I mean, when I purchased AUI in April of 19 was when we did the official date. Like every family business, we didn't sign our paperwork until July. And then I promptly started another business because I knew what I wanted to do with the organization and I knew how I wanted to grow it, but I couldn't do some of those things until after I had full ownership.
Yeah.
Because
And
some of
that's
those risks
clarity,
you're just not
right?
going to take. That's clarity. So, yes, and it continues to grow pretty aggressively as well. So now we're one organization with two entities and kind of working towards being that full service organization that we really want to be, that takes care of small businesses. So I would say that as we worked through the transition, her and I spent a lot of time talking. Obviously, I talked to the therapist, but I talked to Steve too. And it was kind of that, I don't care what you do as long as you're happy. And that's always been our mantra when it comes to the organization that we have now with AUI and with Clarity. It's as long as we're happy as a family, we can do this or we can do something else. I mean, I love what we do within our organization and our mission. So I don't see us changing direction anytime soon or selling the business. I mean, we get calls all the time to sell, because we're pretty awesome, but at least I think we are.
Yeah.
Apparently other people do too.
That's a great lagging indicator.
It is a great lagging
How many
indicator.
people calling to buy your business?
Well, and what was interesting was as we were working through the initial transition with my mom, we started getting calls around, hey, would you like to sell your business? So, I mean, I fielded, because I had fielded those calls and renamed myself as CEO in 16, nobody knew to call her. And so I think that in some ways
great.
I prevented
Yeah.
that
kinda-
undersell, because there were a lot of agencies that were second generation, third generation that sat in the same seat I did, that their parents sold out from under them, and they became a shareholder, and their parents took a check, and now they have a job, and I would have been so mad. I'd probably be selling shoes, Shane. I would be doing something else.
Yeah. So are your kids, how involved are your kids in the business?
So our kids are marketing. They do
Yeah.
a lot of marketing for us. So they're they get paid a tiny bit for the work that they do. But they're not involved at the same, I would say not at the same level that I was involved when our daughter's 14, she'll soon be 15. At the same level, but they're doing something different because when you use them as the face of your marketing, they're kind of amplified everywhere. So they know what we do. They know how we do it. We have family meetings. They can ask anything about the business if they want. We talk about it all the time. But they're not as involved in like the things that I was involved in when I was Maddie's age.